Welcome everybody to Roseville Story Time! I have got a really exciting story for you all today. A story that shows just how big and powerful God is and how big and incredible His grace is. I am so excited to tell it. This story takes place during the Southern Kingdom, the Kingdom of Judah. Things weren't going great there. People were very selfish. They cared more about their comfort and their pleasure than they did about helping out each other. And so there was a lot of lying and cheating and stealing and slandering and lots of things happening. People were saying things that were just unkind and untrue, and it was not a good scene. And during this time, there was a prophet by the name of Isaiah. Hello there. I am the prophet Isaiah. Now, I serve in the southern kingdom, and, yes, we've had our fair share, both the north and the south, have had the fair share of pretty awful kings who have persecuted the prophets of God. But that is not true in my case. I actually am one of the king's advisors. That's right. I serve the king, I have direct access to the king, and I help him understand God. Now, Isaiah, he looked around him and he saw everything that was going on. Ugh! I can't stand the southern kingdom. Everything is horrid. Oh my, the people are taking advantage of each other. They're so selfish. They're lying, they're cheating, they're stealing. Oh, and the slander. They're saying so many things that are unkind and untrue. Oh Lord, what will you do? I'll tell you what God's going to do. God's going to send Isaiah a vision. Isaiah was in the temple. He was all alone. There's the altar. He was in the temple when all of a sudden he started hearing some singing. The singing of angels. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty. The earth is filled with His glory. And as the angels sang, the temple shook. Ah! And all this was happening because God actually showed up. Well, some of Him. You see, God is so huge, so big, that really all Isaiah saw was the bottom of God's robe. That's all that would fit in the temple was the very bottom of God's robe. And Isaiah saw God sitting in His heavenly throne and saw the edge of the robe coming into the temple because God is so huge that Isaiah, this is what he said. Oh, woe is me! I am a man of unclean lips, and I live among a people of unclean lips, and I have seen the Lord God Almighty. You see, Isaiah understood something in that moment. When he saw God in all of His glory, in all of His power, he understood something about all the bad stuff that he was seeing in the world around him. He understood that he was part of the problem. That's why he said, I'm a man of unclean lips, and I live among the people of unclean lips. He understood that he was just as selfish as everyone around him, that he was also participating in the things that were being said with the mouth. And it made sin that separated him from God. And now he realizes he deserves death. That's why he cried out, woe is me, because I've seen God. Now, God, He could have responded in some different ways. He could have said, you're right, you deserve death. Boom, lightning strike. Or he could have said, you're right, Isaiah. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to clean up your lips? Come on, man. Clean up your act. You're a prophet here. Let's do more. But he didn't do anything like that. God did something absolutely incredible. God sends an angel down, grabs a coal from the altar, comes over to Isaiah, and puts the coal to Isaiah's lips. And then the angel's like, hey man, we're all good now. Your lips are clean. You've been purified, and you don't need to feel guilty anymore. Okay, okay, all right. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We're good. All right. See you later. That's it. God just purified him. God cleaned him up. This horrid sin that was getting in the way of separating Isaiah from God, and God just took care of it like that, like it was no big deal, like it was no problem. Purified him, and he told him, you don't need to feel guilty over it anymore. You're free from it. Isn't that incredible? Isn't that just so cool that God would do that? Then God has a question. He says, who's going to go represent me to the people? And Isaiah's like, oh, Lord, send me, I'll do it. Here I am, Lord. And sure enough, God sends Isaiah back into the people to go represent him, to help the people understand God and what God expects from them. It was an incredible story of God's grace, God giving Isaiah what he doesn't deserve, and that's a good thing. So often we can look at our sin and we can feel incredible guilt over it, and we just wonder, what do I need to do to make up for this sin? And this sin just looks like this big huge mountain that we're never going to overcome. And you know what? You're right. You can't overcome it. But God in his grace, he's just like, boom, cleaned it. Done. All right, let's move on here. Let's get the show on the road. Your grace is I've purified you. The sin is no longer there. We're no longer separated. Don't feel guilty anymore. And with that, we can actually begin to hear God better, and we can serve him better. Just like Isaiah, he was more free to go represent God among the people once his sin was taken care of. It's an incredible story of God and his grace. Are you feeling guilty over any sin? Maybe you need to talk to God about him and about that, and let him purify you. Share that. Talk about it with him, and let him clean you up. And then you're free. You don't need to feel guilt any longer. You can read the story of Isaiah for yourself in Isaiah chapter 6. That's all for Roseville Story Time. Bye.